Domestic violence in Tajikistan is an emergency and widespread across the country. This video shows a young woman being dragged out of a trunk by her partner in the capital of Tajikistan. In her case, the abuser got only 8 months of imprisonment. But what's outrageous is that most perpetrators of domestic violence in Tajikistan go unpunished. Police officers often do not take it seriously. They do not treat domestic violence as a crime. They often refuse to register the complaints, issue protection orders. We also documented cases when survivors were pressured by law enforcement to go back into the abusive relationships. There are a lack of services for survivors of domestic violence in Tajikistan. There are only 4 shelters available in a country of 9 million that offer legal, medical, and psychological help.
Following a 10-year campaign, civil society activists in Tajikistan succeeded in 2013 with the passage of the country's first ever law on domestic violence. It established services for victims of domestic violence. It allowed for victims to register cases of violence with the police and to obtain protective orders. It also did a lot to raise public awareness. Despite the law being positive in many respects, the law does not recognize domestic violence as a crime, which makes it much harder for victims to obtain justice. Women told us that they largely still fear going to police stations to report violence because of the pervasive attitude that domestic violence is simply a family matter. In a country where married women often live in the home of their in-laws and don't own separate property, shelters play a critical role in allowing them to get away from the violence and move on with their lives. The Tajik government needs to lead the work to end domestic violence in Tajikistan. This begins by acknowledging the scope and the severity of the problem. It should immediately criminalize domestic violence, ensure that perpetrators are prosecuted, and provide victims access to services, such as more domestic violence shelters, legal and medical care, and longer-term solutions such as affordable housing.